Hey, this is Brent Jensen. You're listening to No Sleep Till Sudbury, the show where we talk about the music that makes your skin vibrate. The show is brought to you by Pariah Pickups, handcrafting the very best guitar pickups all the way down in Detroit. Check them out at pariahpickups.com. And to support the No Sleep Till Sudbury show on Patreon, visit patreon.com/Brent Jensen Music. All right, this week, Juno Award winner and platinum-selling artist Mr. Barney Bentall makes his return to the show. He's here to talk about his new recording project entitled RanchWriters. Here he is. Barney Bentall, welcome back to the show, sir. I enjoyed having you back in 2018, I think it was. It's good to have you back. Thanks for taking the time.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, well, my pleasure. And last time, of course, we did it in downtown Toronto, and right now I'm in the foothills of Alberta, outside of Calgary, and I assume you're in Toronto.
I am.
Yeah, so interesting, different circumstances 2 years later, but it's good to be talking to you again.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise. You know, that was a highlight for me, you playing Something to Live For, and I think that kind of came together by accident because you were on your way to either a rehearsal or a show, and you happened to bring a guitar with you. And you very graciously played my favorite Bentall song, which I thought was really cool. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah, I remember that. It was such a wild, with just the venue that we did it in. I sort of weren't aware that those kind of clubs existed still, but I was happy to play it for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to talk today about the brand new album that you have released under the project title RanchWriters on September 17.
Yeah.
And the record was a collaboration between yourself and Spirit of the West's Geoffrey Kelly. And so I think that this came together on your ranch in BC last year. Is that right?
Well, it's come together over a couple of years. Okay. Geoffrey and his wife, Allie, and my wife, Cass, and myself, we've been friends for probably close to 40 years now. Mm. So they're dear friends, and they, with some other friends, would come up to the ranch, a few times a year. And Geoffrey and I, when people were doing other things, we would just sit and play guitar together. And Geoffrey was working in an open tuning. There's this wonderful musician, Jackie Levin. Mm-hmm. I think he's Scottish, and he played in this certain open tuning, and Geoffrey got, Geoffrey is a world-class player, with the whistles and flutes. Mm-hmm. But I love his guitar playing, and he works in this open tuning. So he would often come with first we would just muck around both playing in it, because open tunings kind of unlock the mind. You don't go down prescribed routes, or you all of a sudden discover something you really like and realize it might be another version of a 3-chord song, but you don't think of it that way.
Yeah.
So he would work that way, and then very quickly we sort of got to this point where I would just work in standard tuning, and the two, we finger pick really, it works really well together. It's very compatible. Mm-hmm. So we would just keep putting these songs together. We kind of because they all happened up at the ranch in the area where the ranch is in the Caribou. We would sort of give them titles along those, from some of the place names.
Okay.
And we would, at a certain point, we had quite a few of them. And then, of course, the pandemic happened. Mm. And this wonderful engineer that I worked with on my last record, he was coming up to record friends of ours, Jason and Ferris Romero. Okay. And they, he said, can I, he and his wife were eager to get out of Vancouver at that time. This was in the heart of it, the lockdown. Mm. And so I said, I said to Geoffrey, why don't we make a record, and it's not going to cost very much. We had no expectations of getting a record deal or anything.
Yeah.
We're doing this to kind of formalize something that we love doing. And that kind of gave us another kick to actually put it together, make sure there's 10 or 12 tunes. And then so we recorded them up at the farm, and it was just in the old ranch house, and it was just a beautiful experience, Mm. We all kind of cooked collaboratively, then we'd play some music, go for a hike, I got some people up on horses that had never been on horses before. It felt like a magical time, and for those that were sort of stuck in the city, and anybody who's, a lot of those folks over the last 18 months. But you know, all of a sudden we had the songs, and then we went and finished them in Vancouver, and then we sent them basically from coast to coast for people, various friends that were so willing to play on it. And then the idea right from the beginning was really to dedicate this to John Mann, in memory of John Mann. So,
nice.
So, and here we are, you know, and then my good friend, my dear friend, Craig Northey from The Odds, and such a part of the musical landscape. It was his son, incredible filmmaker, and starting to become, you know, really doing so well. He just did a really great video for Colin James, and he's done a few for me. Oh. He came up to the ranch, and he and the cinematographer, of course, thought they died and gone to heaven. There's lots of scenery there. And so we did a couple of videos, and, you know, which is just, the response to this record has been wonderful, you know. I even think of my wife, wonderful person, and she's wanted to listen to this record more than any of my others, I think. So, I don't know what that says, but it's like, well, let's play that RanchWriters thing again. So, yeah, the response has been great.
Well, no, I can see why. I mean, I listened to the record, very relaxing. So it's a 12-song instrumental record. You know, in addition to you and Geoffrey playing guitar, there's a host of other instruments. It might be Geoffrey playing woodwinds. I think there's a song called Winter Flood that is just, you know, it's perfect for the cottage. I mean, that's kind of how I feel when I listen to it. It's a great record. It's very lush. There's some really nice melodies on it. And I wanted to ask you, you know, how did you guys mic the guitars for recording to get that sound that you did?
Well, John Ram, the engineer, is just brilliant. We were all in one room. Like, we put the drum kit. So on, you know, on any given track, like say that Bonaparte Plateau one, you know. So Jeff Hicks is on drums. He plays with Colin James all the time. And Matt Kelly from City and Color. He wasn't there, but he played later. And Kendall Carson plays with Alan Doyle. Okay. They did their parts after. But we sat in this one room, so the drums were just behind a couch, and he played so sensitively because the mics for our guitars, like, I don't want to go too much into nerdland here, but they had to be pretty hot and open because, you know, we're finger picking. But he just had really beautiful mics. I forget which ones, but, you know, we basically sat looking at each other, very rarely used a click track, and we just played together. And so, I mean, you hear lots of drums in our guitar mics, but yeah, we're just looking at each other. We tried to recreate, that's where most of the song, it was the old ranch house from the 1920s where we wrote much of this stuff. So we just recorded it in there. And of course, it's all the old logs, you know, no kind of hard reflective surfaces. And the engineer was just in the room there too. You're all, you know, sort of plunked in there together.
Yeah, no, it's got it fits, right? It's got a great organic feel. In the intro to, I think it's Fred Neil, you can hear, you know, the first track starts and then the second track opens up for a couple beats before the guitar actually comes in, which is really cool.
Oh, that's great. I love when people notice that kind of nuance.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that's kind of ear candy and that I love, and it's also what makes you realize that it was done by, you know, human beings recording together in a room, you know?
Yeah.
And my son Dustin was there, and his partner Trixie, she's a great musician. Everybody's sitting there, so there was all these live mics. So, you know, we had to get it right, or not perfect. I don't think it should ever be perfect.
No.
Get it right, or it feels right, all happening at the same time.
Yeah, and again, that's organic. There's an authenticity to that I love. I really enjoyed the record, and you know that the intros to Black Tusk and Sea to Sky for me are reminiscent of Nick Drake's Brighter Later record. You know?
Oh, really?
Oh God, yeah. It's almost like you know, I was wondering when I was listening to that if that's the kind of stuff that maybe he might be doing now if he were still alive. You know?
Oh, you're kidding? That's so spot on. I mean, Geoffrey is such a student of music, you know, because one of those ones, I think Black Tusk, I felt it was kind of prog rock, you know, and but just all those incredible Nick Drake records and all this stuff that had, I don't know, it was magical. It was great.
Yeah. I hear a little bit of Joni Mitchell in there. You know, those older records. Yeah.
Totally.
It's good stuff, man. Very well done. So the album came out on September 17.
Yeah.
It's all instrumental. I mentioned that before, but I think that, you know, people in these times particularly, you know, people seek comfort even more so in music now. And the cool thing about what you've done here with this instrumental record is that you're providing really a greater latitude to people to relax, because words, you know, tend to confine people and they lead them a certain way. But, you know, listening to this record, I found that you can go in any direction in terms of relaxation. So,
well, thank you for that assessment. And that's, you know, I said, I don't know if Geoffrey was insulted the first time I said this, but I thought, I think what we're trying to create is something that you'd put on a Sunday morning and take a cup of coffee out onto your porch, or when you're having a glass of wine at night or something, and just let it sort of wash over you.
Yeah.
And not, and where you can kind of feel okay about, it stirs lots of feelings, but you can kind of feel okay about things, because I just felt for both of us, it was liberating. It was liberating not to try and come up with words, and which is kind of arguably the more difficult part of songwriting, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But just to where you could let something wash over you and let your mind go where you know, where the music was taking it, and also where you wanted to kind of steer things, instead of being led by the nose or trying to interpret what, you know, what's this person trying to say through the words of the lyrics of the song. So
yeah,
that's what it's for. It's to make it's a balm, not a bomb, B-O-M-B, but a B-A-L-M for these times.
B-A-L-M. Just to clarify. No, it's funny that you say that about Sunday morning, because I often listen to the old Joni Mitchell records and Brighter Later by Nick Drake, especially if it's sunny. I find, you know, you have a nice cup of coffee, you're reading the paper, and you put those on, and it's very soothing. It's so, you know, it's very calming. So, and that's exactly what I get from this record.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So any plans to come back to Toronto?
Nothing in the near future. I'm playing again. I'm just done these shows. Last Waltz Revisited with Colin Linden and Jimmy Rankin in Calgary. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they're sort of opening up. That's in their big theaters in Calgary and Edmonton. But you know, playing, but it's strange, and it changes. You know.
Yeah.
Or that things start and be pulled and postponed in Vancouver. So, or in BC, but nothing yet for Toronto. But looking forward to it.
Good. Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
I'd like to come out and see you for sure. Now, Barney, have you got any songs for me that you wanted to talk about that make your skin vibrate particularly?
Well, yeah. Let's start with some. I'm actually driving through the foothills with my daughter Jess.
Oh, cool.
And she's got a band in. Just a second. I think it might be here. It's right here. Yeah. I'll just roll the vehicle. But she's here, and she's got a great band called The Wild Honey and the Kootenays with two other women. And the other day we were playing together, and we did Wheat Kings.
Yeah,
and
nice.
that would be one that you know, I was thinking about it. I don't think I've told Jess about this, but it's about, you know, David Milgaard, and I thought about one legacy of the hip, in that I think they were very influential in terms of helping him to get released. Mm-hmm. You know, like and also advocating for people that are wrongfully convicted. You know, and there's a significant number of people like that. You know, where the justice system fails them. And one time we were playing somewhere in Ontario, and his brother or some relative came up and told Gary Fraser, who I wrote songs with back in the day, that he came out, one possession that he came out of jail with was the Something to Live For record, which had a song called She's My Inspiration, which was sort of about that kind of situation.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, there's all these connections, and I felt like that, yeah, that one, that just happened to be in my mind because we sang it, and you feel like you're in the world of ghosts if you're singing a hip song and people that you know and they're not there anymore. So yeah, that was fun.
That's great.
And even talk about it, so it makes the hair stand up on my arms, or my neck, So, and then what else? I put in the list. I just started thinking, well, I want to make sure women are represented. Joni Mitchell. I love the version of Clouds from. Is it from Dreamland? It's the orchestral version.
Oh.
Of it's funny. It's in the movie Love Actually.
Yeah.
When Emma Thompson is the fact that her husband Alan Rickman in that situation is possibly being unfaithful, and she listens to that song and it's just like, it just kills you, and you realize how the first version of it in this sweet, amazing high voice, and then this orchestral version with her kind of more smoky, aging voice, which I find equally compelling, and so that one. And I also said Kathleen Edwards, looking for a soft place to fall, not land, fall. I find just about anything she does moves me. There's such an emotional depth to it.
Oh yeah.
Have
you heard Away?
Away?
Yeah.
No.
She's got a song called Away. I can't remember what record it's on. It's fantastic. Yeah. And you're right about the emotional depth. It just really moves you.
Well, I'll check that out for sure.
Yeah.
And I also again by the rodeo.
Yeah.
With Jim, we spent a lot of time together, and not so much over the last year, and I play that song with him quite a bit in these various things we do. We host trips to various locations in the world, and that song always it hits me because it I think there's so many circumstances we find ourselves in that you were looking forward to that point where you feel like yourself again. If you've lost your way, I think in the song it's sort of from drinking or substance abuse, or it could be you just emotionally you're going through a difficult time, and you're looking. And I thought it spoke to the times too, in a way right now. I think we're all looking to a time where we feel like ourselves again.
Oh yeah. But
then we're really having confronted with the fact that maybe that's not. Maybe we have to rethink that as well. So there's just a lot of uncertainty, and there's a lot of confusion, but also a desire to just feel normal again.
Yes, for sure. Prescient pick.
And what are we at there?
That's 4, I believe.
Well, I would just have to right now. I've been thinking so much about the Rolling Stones.
Oh wow!
And with the passing of Charlie Watts. And it's funny. I'm a behind the wheel drummer.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm driving, playing drums
with your fingers, yeah.
And so playing without not doing the hi hat when the snare gets hit, or in my case, it's the steering wheel. And but I'm going to say Wild Horses.
Ah, nice, great pick.
Recorded in Muscle Shoals, and there's this little clip I was watching of him listening to the playback of Wild Horses in Muscle Shoals. They went to record there, to get some of the sort of magic that existed in that studio. And he's just listening, and it's an Academy Award worthy performance. He's giving so little away, but giving so much away, and he's just moving his eyes. And it was, it just brought a tear to your eye. So
yeah, that was a tough one for me too. He was definitely the engine behind the Rolling Stones for so long. And it's funny because you go back, and I'm a huge Stones fan too. I went back and he wasn't a completely unsung hero, but he deserved a lot more attention and accolades, in my opinion. Just you listen to songs like Slave and Can't You Hear Me Knocking, and just the groove that it's unreal.
Oh, I know. You're so right. And I agree with you about maybe not getting the accolades, but I also think that that's where he, you know, at a certain point, you realize in some ways we end up where we kind of want to be, or are, we're fortunate enough to, you know, have an influence on how we're perceived, or you know, where we end up in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes I think, oh, it'd been great to be way more famous, you know, all the financial rewards, on. And I think at a certain level, that's not my interest to be. I don't think I would have wanted it. I think I like a bit more peace. And Charlie, and, you know, arguably the biggest band in the world, I think he liked being not, you know, he had plenty of people that could take center stage, and I think he was happy not to be that person.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. He quietly went about his task, you know.
Yeah.
He was never big on the limelight.
Yeah.
And I like that about him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, no glitz, no glamour. Well, that's a good little list, my friend. Thank you very much for providing that.
You're very welcome, Brent. It's great to talk to you about it. And I always love, you know, we do, part of our job is doing interviews, and it's nice when somebody knows that, you know, the material are done, and also does these interesting things, because we want to talk about stuff that had a big impact on us. And, you know, like I say, that's 5 songs that just kind of are drawn from the hat, but there's just so much material that does that for me. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it could be a 24-hour conversation and really just scratch the surface.
Well, you know what? I'm always around, so I have time. So you let me know when you've got your next 5 ready.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Barney, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm a big fan, and you know, it's been great talking with you. Thank you.
Right, likewise. Thank you very much, and we'll do it again, and hopefully I'll get out to Ontario soon.
You bet. Yeah, please do, and let me know. I want to come and see you.
Okay, and thanks for helping out with this RanchWriters thing. I think there's, you know, I just really love this record, and I also want to keep cherishing the memory of John Mann. You know, mm-hmm. They broke the mold with John, so.
Certainly. Yeah. Congratulations on the record.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, sir.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. This has been No Sleep Till Sudbury with Brent Jensen and my very special guest, Mr. Barney Bentall. Till next time, folks. Take good care.
Brent Jensen is the best-selling author of No Sleep Till Sudbury, Leftover People, and All My Favorite People Are Broken. All titles available in stores and on Amazon worldwide.